AEW and NXT ratings disaster from Wednesday night showed you exactly why fans are losing interest in the overall AEW product on Wednesday night. It was a bloodbath when NXT moved off of Tuesday to Wednesday for 1 week only due to the presidential election, and it was not a good look for Tony Khan and AEW. We got the full ratings breakdown right here on Off the Script. Also, updates on Rhea Ripley and a timetable for her return back to Monday Night Raw. WWE has some major plans for Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 41. We got the latest on the WWE ID program. Why was Will Ospreay off of AEW television for several weeks following their last pay-per-view? And we got an update on AEW's Forbidden Door. They want to hold the Forbidden Door show at the O2 Arena in London, England, but they can't put tickets on sale because WWE announced a Road to WrestleMania European tour that will take them from the beginning of March all the way up until the third week of that month, and AEW can't do anything about it. We got the latest on all that right here on Off the Script, and we will start with Rhea Ripley. She suffered a fractured orbital bone in the last several weeks. Nobody knows where this injury occurred. I'm assuming it happened in a match with Liv Morgan or a scuffle with Raquel Rodriguez during their feud over the WWE Women's World Championship. Fans saw Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez backstage with baseball bats, implying that they attacked Rhea Ripley in the NXT parking lot. This was a situation that WWE filmed to take Rhea Ripley off of television. She was lying next to her car and had a cut on her head with blood pouring out of the wound. Although not confirmed, it is believed the injury happened in a headbutt spot on the October 21st episode of Monday Night Raw. Now, because of the injury, WWE had to make changes to the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. The former Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley was slated to work a match with Raquel Rodriguez at Crown Jewel. I had called that several weeks before Crown Jewel actually happened, and I felt that Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez would be a good buffer before we get to some sort of match at the Survivor Series, whether it's a War Games match between Team Rhea and Team Liv, or it's just a standard traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series match, again, where it would be Team Rhea versus Team Liv. And if Team Rhea won, then Rhea Ripley would get another championship match at Saturday night's main event for the Women's World Championship. PW Insider's reporting that there is still no timetable for Rhea Ripley's return, and the internal hope is that the injury may not be as bad as initially feared, and Rhea Ripley right now is earmarked for a big role at WrestleMania 41. So, A, it's good news that it's not as serious, or they believe it's not as serious as originally reported, because she desperately needs to be back in that women's division. If you look at the landscape of the women's divisions right now in WWE, I would say SmackDown's women's division is a little bit stronger than the Monday Night Raw women's division. And they're missing Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch and Asuka. You don't want that for any roster, honestly. I am personally over the Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley situation. I think the championship needs to come off of Liv Morgan. I think we've seen the story play out as far as we can with Liv Morgan as the world champion. If WWE wanted to do Liv and Rhea, and if the plan was Rhea and Liv at WrestleMania, they have bought themselves plenty of time to get us there, because nobody knows when Rhea Ripley is going to be back on Monday Night Raw. If that is the plan, does she win the Royal Rumble? Does she win the Elimination Chamber? I don't really want to see someone like Rhea Ripley win the Royal Rumble or the Elimination Chamber, because that would be WWE resting on their laurels and going to their tried and true. I think we are beyond that. I would love to see Rhea take the championship off of Liv Morgan. Hopefully the injury is not as serious as they originally reported. She comes back before the Royal Rumble and wins the Women's Championship and gets something new, gets something fresh to do at WrestleMania. I hope that the injury is something she can come back from and be back in plans on television. Saturday night's main event on Long Island, December 14th, or the Monday Night Raw debut on Netflix, January 6th. I think those are the two best places to see all of this play out and end it once and for all. I think taking it up until Easter Sunday, WrestleMania weekend, that is a little overkill. And I don't think there would be any interest in Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan at that point. And honestly, I feel like the interest levels are decreasing week by week just right now. So I think the best opportunity for them to take the championship off of Liv Morgan would be Saturday night's main event or Monday Night Raw, the debut on Netflix. We will see what happens there, but Rhea Ripley is desperately needed back on the Monday Night Raw women's side. Moving on, let's talk about the ratings for AEW and NXT from this Wednesday. It was a bloodbath, to say the least. And I know a lot of people don't really cover the ratings. I don't really care to cover them myself, but this is something that needs to be stated. And the AEW ratings on Wednesday are nothing more than an embarrassment. It is their own night. It is in their own backyard. And they lost to WWE's developmental system. And yes, NXT is a developmental system. They lost to NXT on their own night, and they got slaughtered. What does that say about the overall vibe and the overall interest in the AEW product? It's not there. And everything that I've stated, everything that Jesse has stated, everything that we've talked about collectively on Wednesday nights, we are being proven right more and more and more every single week. And Tony Khan is living in denial about how great his product is. But the power rests with Tony Khan, and the power will remain with Tony Khan. And Tony Khan will not relinquish any of that power, because this is what he's wanted to do since he was born. This is what he's wanted to do since he exited the womb. He wanted to run a pro wrestling company. He wanted to be a pro wrestling promoter. He wanted to be in the pro wrestling space and have a bunch of toys to play with in real life. That's exactly what he's got. He doesn't give a shit if it's right, if it's wrong, if you like it, if you don't like it. He does not care. And it's showing more and more and more every single week. And the product is showing it more and more every single week, because it's depressing, it's lifeless, it's soulless. And there's not really any substantial story to really sink your teeth into and get excited about on a week-to-week basis. For the second time in a month, NXT and AEW went head-to-head, this time on Wednesday night, with NXT preempted by the network, CW, for the 2024 United States presidential election coverage. Last month, it was Dynamite switching nights, presenting their third consecutive title Tuesday as a result of the World Series. Despite the branding and a decent helping of star power on the card, the ratings results were disastrous, with Dynamite recording its lowest overall viewership in history, as well as its worst showing in the key 18 to 49 demographic. This week, however, it was NXT airing away from its usual night, which makes the result of the ratings battle even more depressing. According to Programming Insider, the November 6th episode of NXT averaged an overall viewership of 619,000, which actually represents a 5% increase from their viewership last week. So they were not on their normal night. Tuesday is their normal scheduled night. They moved off of their normal scheduled night to a night that they have no business being on, that they are not operating on, and they had a 5% increase from last week when they were on their normal night, when they were on their usual time slot up against Game 4 of the World Series. The show also earned a 0.17 in the key demo, a 2% increase from last week. More interesting is the fact that in both metrics, NXT came in higher than Dynamite, which averaged 523,000 total viewers and a 0.16 in the key demo, a 17 and 16% drop, respectively, from their previous week, and Dynamite's lowest numbers since June. Notably, NXT show took place at the 2300 Arena, also known as the ECW Arena, and we had Rob Van Dam, Dawn Marie, Little Guido, Rhino, and the Dudley Boys all on the show. So by the numbers there, it looks like Little Guido, Nunzio, is a bigger draw than anybody on AEW side. And AEW, by the way, which now has Bobby Lashley that they just signed. He opened the show. Nunzio beats Bobby Lashley and the newly recruited Hurt Syndicate on AEW Dynamite. How sad is AEW? Looking at the quarter-hour breakdowns published by WrestleNomics and Brandon Thurston, both NXT and Dynamite stayed strong, with the former peaking at 674,000 viewers in the second quarter of the show. For the end of the opening match between Lola Vice and Jada Parker, while the latter enjoyed its typical high performance in the first quarter due to its strong lead-in from The Big Bang Theory, which, if you guys want to figure out who the four pillars are of AEW, just look no further than The Big Bang Theory, peaking at 666,000. In fact, Dynamite actually beat NXT in the first quarter by 1,000 average viewers, but things largely went downhill from there. The show bottomed out with 455,000 average viewers in the eighth quarter hour and only got a marginal amount back in the 9-minute overrun. In contrast, NXT in the quarter hour 6, 563,000 average viewers, more than all of the first 2 hours of Dynamite, but rebounded reasonably from there, finishing with 625,000 average viewers for the 10-woman tag team main event with Fatal Influence, Cora Jade, and Roxanne Perez against Kalani Jordan, Jordan Grace, Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, and Zarya. While NXT coming over to Wednesday night and beating Dynamite on its own turf raised some eyebrows, the impact that AEW is making right now on the wrestling scene is negative. And it's not interesting whatsoever, especially after signing a new $555 million TV deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. AEW fans are going to gloss this over and not really make this a big deal because that's what they do. They don't want to take accountability for Tony Khan really driving the company into the ground. But by every metric and by every logical aspect, AEW Dynamite got beat out on their own night with a normal show that they usually put on every Wednesday. Adam Cole versus Malachi Black. We got major storylines playing out with Jon Moxley and the Death Riders overtaking the company. You just signed Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin, the Hurt Business, now the Hurt Syndicate, and you brought them on in to feud with Swerve Strickland, who is your former AEW World Champion this year. And you still can't garner a rating that surpasses 600,000 and even puts yourself even keel with NXT, their developmental system. Aren't you guys sad? I know I am. I'm a fan of AEW. I don't want to see them fail. But the interest in the product is down. The overall vibe in the product is down. The storylines are not working. They need something new. They need something internally to change. I have no hope in anything changing. I could sit here and make this fucking video 3 hours long, going over every problem that AEW has. I will not do that. If you guys watch me on Wednesday nights, you know what the problem is. You know where the problems exist. The fucked up thing is AEW doesn't care. They don't care. And they will never care. They want to put on shows. They think they are the alternative. They are not the alternative anymore. They are not. Everybody wanted a better WWE. We got a better WWE, and we will continue to get a better WWE. There is no need for AEW, according to these people. There is a need for AEW in the business, absolutely. But these people don't find a need for AEW. If WWE is giving them what they want, why do we need to go out and watch AEW do everything that WWE is trying to do, but worse? Vince McMahon leaving killed AEW. CM Punk leaving AEW killed AEW. The way Tony Khan handled the CM Punk situation killed AEW. Showing the footage from Wembley with Jack Perry and CM Punk killed AEW. People are losing trust in Tony Khan. Honestly, people have already lost trust in Tony Khan, and it's not coming back. That's what killed AEW. All of these things killed AEW. And I'm telling you right now, this Jon Moxley Death Rider storyline, the way that I envision it playing out, the way that it is being reported right now, if they go with the reported plan, this is it. This is the last possible effort for AEW to garner any interest in their product. This is it. This is a tired storyline that we've seen in multiple promotions through the existence of pro wrestling. A group or an individual set to take over the company, and who are the valiant baby faces trying to save the company from the doomsday scenario of the heels. We've seen it done over and over again. But AEW thinks that throwing Jon Moxley, Claudio, Pac, Wheeler Yuta, and Marina Shafir out there against fucking Top Flight, The Dork Order, Chuck Taylor, Orange Cassidy, these are Daniel Garcia, Private Party. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. And then the rumors are the Elite are going to join forces with Kenny Omega and possibly Adam Page to overtake the company and give the company back to AEW. The same people that tried to take the company by attacking Tony Khan in Jacksonville while he had to wear a neck brace going into the NFL draft. That's what people want to see. That's how you get the trust of the viewer back. You tried to tell one story, completely disregard it, and then go to something else that undermines what you did back in April? This is it. If this storyline doesn't pick up fast and this storyline doesn't deliver the proper conclusion that it needs, AEW is dead. Creatively, they are dead. They aren't dead because they got $555 million that Tony Khan suckered out of David Zaslav. Creatively, they are dead. And creatively, they will never earn the trust of the fan base that they seemingly drove away with all of their antics and all of their terrible, terrible creative. This is embarrassing. The fact that they lost to NXT, which, by the way, on Wednesday night was a fucking terrible show. It was fun for the nostalgia being in the ECW arena. Overall, it was a terrible show. You lost to that? Your flagship show lost to fucking little Guido. You should be fucking ashamed of yourself, man. Absolutely fucking ashamed of yourself. Will Ospreay. Why was he off AEW television since their last pay-per-view, WrestleDream? Ospreay hasn't been on AEW television since he lost the International Championship in a triple threat match to Ricochet and Konosuke Takeshita. Takeshita walked out with the title. Kyle Fletcher hit Will Ospreay with a screwdriver, leading to Ospreay being pinned after taking a running knee from Konosuke Takeshita, who won the title. Fletcher hit Ospreay with the Tiger Driver after the match. Ospreay disappeared from TV after the angle, leading to fans wondering where he has been. PW Insider reports that Ospreay has disappeared for a few weeks due to a routine work visa renewal, which required him to remain home in the United Kingdom until completed. He was back on AEW television this past Wednesday in the main event when Ricochet announced Will Hobbs was his mystery partner against Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita. Ospreay's the best pro wrestler on the planet. Ospreay's not making a lick of a difference on AEW television, whether he's there or not, which is sad. Ospreay, anytime he's on TV for AEW, it's better television. This is just from my point of view. So I'm glad to have him back on AEW television. Hopefully that's taken care of and we get him a little bit more consistently on AEW television. And the match with Kyle Fletcher is going to be great. And I believe that will happen at Full Gear. Moving on with the rest of the rumors this week. WWE's current plan is for both Raw and SmackDown, according to PW Insider, to expand to 3 hours starting in January 2025. Some NXT wrestlers may be added to the main roster at that time to offset the additional hours on both Monday and Friday night. Who those NXT talents are going to be, I don't know. I would assume Roxanne Perez is absolutely getting called up to the main roster. In fact, I'd call up Cora Jade along with Roxanne Perez on the main roster, and I'd put them on the same show. Julia, Stephanie Vacar, and Zarya are going to handle things down on Tuesday nights on NXT television. Obafemi is another one I could see joining the main roster. There was rumors about him getting the call-up, but I don't know if that's the right move to make, as I do think you should be looking at Trick Williams getting called up to the main roster and Obafemi taking the championship off of Trick Williams at NXT Stand and Deliver WrestleMania weekend. That's the problem with NXT. Right now, the men's side is so weak, you don't really have any men's talent to call up to the main roster. And the tag team division is suffering. There really isn't any tag team division. I'd call up Axiom and Nathan Frazier, to be quite honest with you. Those are the guys I'd call up. If you're looking at men right now, those are the two guys you call up, especially if you want to break up DIY on the main roster. And there's rumors right now that everybody's pushing for a Montez Ford split from Angelo Dawkins with him going solo. I call up for Axiom. Probably the best tag team pound for pound in all of WWE if we are being honest with each other. So I don't know who's getting called up, but the women, it's a lot easier to pinpoint, and pick apart who's going to be called up to the main roster. 3 hours on Monday and Friday night. I've talked about this week. I don't like the fact that SmackDown's moving to 3 hours without any solid plan, but we don't really have any confirmation on any plans at all with what WWE's planning to do here. PW Insider says it's going to happen, and they are one of the more credible sources within the community. If SmackDown's going 3 hours, they are going to need a supplemental draft of sorts. Monday Night Raw is a little bit more easygoing to operate at 3 hours. They've done it before, and this stretch, honestly, depending on who you listen to and who you speak to, a lot of people actually prefer the 3-hour Monday Night Raw because it's a more substantial show, and at 2 hours, it just hasn't hit. But I don't really think WWE's putting their all into Monday night now at 2 hours. I think they're just waiting it out, and they're in this autopilot mode until they get to Netflix, which is a terrible fucking feeling for the fans watching the show. Hopefully it does pick up going into Survivor Series and Saturday night's main event. 3 hours on Netflix. I don't think it's going to be 3 hours exact. I think we're going to get a mix of anywhere close to 3 hours, sometimes 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes, depending on the show. SmackDown on the USA Network, we're going back to how we've dealt with Monday Night Raw for the past 12 years. 3 hours on the USA Network. They're going to need more roster to offset being a 3-hour show. Supplemental draft. Are they going to end the draft and end the brand split completely? Because there were rumors that Netflix wants Cody Rhodes and CM Punk and Roman Reigns on their show. Can't have all three of the biggest stars in the company on one show and leave SmackDown without anything. Are they going to end the draft? Is there going to be any more brand split from this point on? I don't know. I, for one, like the draft. But if they end it, you're not going to hear a peep out of me. I think it would just be better television across the board, and everything would be a lot more logical instead of having new championships introduced. And this talent has to stay on this show. And we have championships that are defended on both shows, but also some championships that are only defended on one show. Listen, man, I'm tired of talking about the illogical, nonsensical decisions that WWE's made over the years. They end the draft and end the brand split. We don't have to talk about that. We have to worry about any of that whatsoever. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do handle the SmackDown side of things. I'm more confident in them handling the Monday Night Raw things, being that we've done that for 12 years. But moving that roster on Friday night to 3 hours, that may be a tall task for WWE to undertake. Moving on. Per the Observer, it is expected that next year's Forbidden Door event will take place at London's O2 Arena. But the thing is, AEW can't announce that it will take place at the O2 Arena because WWE announced an 11-city tour on the road to WrestleMania. And the talent will travel to Barcelona, Spain, Germany, Brussels, Belgium, Italy, Northern Ireland, England, Glasgow, Austria, Amsterdam, and the Netherlands, as well as London, England. This tour will also feature consecutive episodes of Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown from different cities across the United Kingdom and Europe over 3 weeks in March. Netflix, reportedly, is open to airing these episodes live in the afternoon, which would be great because that would eliminate the spoilers that are floating around on social media where the shows take place in their time zone and we don't get it until it's a tape delay at 8 p.m. Eastern here in the States. That would eliminate the possible spoilers being leaked out, and we can all watch it live as it's happening. But in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer reported that the speculation is AEW wants to run their Forbidden Door pay-per-view with New Japan at the O2 Arena in August. However, they haven't been able to officially announce the event or the show to put tickets on sale for said show. Meltzer wrote, most likely this is the reason, and thus AEW won't be able to announce the arena or put tickets on sale until sometime after the end of March, depending on what the specifics were for the WWE deal. Three things I want to make mention of here. Number one, the Forbidden Door concept is dead. I don't know why AEW continues to run with a dead concept. They purged all of New Japan. They have all their top stars that anybody legitimately gave a shit about in New Japan. And running a Forbidden Door pay-per-view with New Japan when they don't have any more must-see talent is just beating a dead horse. I am done with the concept. It's not interesting anymore. And all it does is take another month of AEW television and give us no story. There's barely any story going into the pay-per-view at all. And it's nothing more than a bunch of random dream matches that Tony Khan dreams up and he puts them on pay-per-view for us to buy at $50 a pop. And also, how important is Forbidden Door going to be when Wrestle Dynasty is coming off more like a Forbidden Door than AEW's Forbidden Door with New Japan? AEW teaming up with New Japan for Forbidden Door is not exactly forbidden anymore. It's more forbidden now for New Japan. It's the opposite way. New Japan is welcoming AEW into the Tokyo Dome. It's feeling more like a Forbidden Door than AEW's version of Forbidden Door. Now we have it happening twice this year? A little overkill. Number two, does anybody sit here surprised that WWE is once again walking into the playground and ruffling the feathers of AEW? Now, I know that they have a business to run and they're probably not worried about AEW, but I do think the underlying tones of this is we're going to do what we want to do because we can, because we're the big boys in town. But also, if it harms AEW and it comes off that way, it's because we also have an idea that we are doing that, but we're going to pretend like we don't care. And we're going to pretend that we're not really doing it to AEW. It's just a happenstance. It's just a coincidence. Everything that WWE does is looking to put another dent in Tony Khan's armor. So, again, WWE is going to continue to run their business the way that they want, but also at the same time, if you don't think that they have in the back of their mind just a little bit that they're harming AEW, absolutely they do, and they would go to any lengths to harm AEW any way that they can. Thirdly, AEW, no matter what, shouldn't have to worry about tickets being on sale at the end of March for a show that's happening in August. All In's happening in July. They move Forbidden Door to August, where All In usually takes place at the end of August. They will have more than enough time to sell out the O2 Arena the way that they want if tickets go on sale at the end of March or early in April. It is not a big deal for AEW, especially with that audience and the United Kingdom fans a little bit more thirsty for the product, a little bit more excited about the product than the American fans are. They will sell out more rapidly in the United Kingdom than if this event was announced here in the United States. They have nothing to worry about. So I don't know why there's internal worry that AEW can't put tickets on sale, they can't announce a venue. Let WWE get their pettiness out of their system, announce the O2 Arena, and then put tickets on sale. It is going to be fine for AEW when tickets do go on sale, and they will move those tickets very, very quickly. Thank you guys for all your support. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and I'm going to have a lot more news coming up in the next week. We got a brand new week of content coming up. Monday night, back to normal, live. So we will have a live Monday Night Raw away from all this Saudi nonsense. Tuesday Night Titans will be back live with the Solid Monster Tuesday at 8:30. Wednesday, Jesse and I will be back with AEW, a regular scheduled week of programming. It is going to be very, very good. So thank you guys very much for all your support right here on Off the Script. If you guys want more content, I got plenty of stuff on the channel for you. Make sure you guys go check all that stuff out. It's all on the homepage. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for all notifications. And please hit that thumbs up on your way out. I would love if we could get 1,000 likes today on Off the Script. Make sure you guys check out the rest of the content. And I'll see you live tomorrow night, live after Monday Night Raw, right here on Off the Script. I'll see you guys later.